Alpha male traits are highly sought after by men and women. Every man wants to be an alpha male, and every woman wants to be with an alpha chat. Because the more alpha traits you have, the more competent, successful, and competitive you're going to be. But there is a popular misconception about being an alpha that needs to be addressed. You see, if I ask you to just close your eyes and picture the typical alpha male, most likely you're going to imagine this big muscular dude with a square jaw who probably has some bullying tendencies. Like the typical, brooding, and intimidating jock at school who shoves nerds in lockers for fun and bangs the hottest blonde in class. While this may be true, it's not always the case. Because alpha men come in many forms. Some are short, stocky, and loud CEOs. Others are huge, soft-spoken athletes. Few are broke, coked-up strippers. Many are psychopathic murderers serving lifetime sentences in prison. I mention this because, due to that common misconception, the typical average beta guy seems to think being an alpha is just way too far to reach. I'm a 5 feet 7 inches nerdy skinny guy. There's no way I can be an alpha. I'm really bad with women and I'm antisocial. I can't be an alpha. These are actual thoughts men have when considering becoming more alpha. In their own heads, they set the alpha status bar so high to an unrealistic point that they can't reach, and then never bother trying because. How can they? Where do they even start? To help you figure out where to start, and which alpha male traits you need to develop to become that man other men are envious of and other women want to show off, here are the main characteristics that you will need to integrate into your character. 10 attractive alpha male traits every high-value man has. Number 1. Confidence. The first alpha male trait you're always going to notice in admirable men is confidence. It's that one quality that establishes other attractive qualities and helps them compound together to display a desirable character overall. You can't be extremely successful unless you're confident about the means to your success. You can't be great with women unless you're confident and comfortable in your own skin, to the point where they want to be part of your reality. If you ask any woman what is the number one quality they look for, it's always going to be confidence. You can't be authentic, honest, and stand out as a man unless you're already satisfied with who you are and what you're about. But even though confidence is the most in-demand alpha trait to have, it just doesn't come so easily. Some people are naturally poised in most circumstances. Others are only self-assured in certain environments. Many have had to consciously and consistently develop their self-confidence to a point where they can be satisfied with who they are. To be frank, it doesn't matter how you get there since there's more than one way to get to the desired state of self-esteem. As long as you're always working on it, you'll become overall happier as you enjoy the other traits and the overall success that come with self-belief. Number 2. Integrity. All alpha males have integrity. They have strong principles that will be protected at all costs. These principles are morally subjective. That's why you have good alpha men and evil alpha guys. The reason why we need principles and integrity is that they reinforce our life purposes. They give us standards to live up to in order to make sure we're pursuing something meaningful and not just wandering aimlessly. Without integrity, you cannot trust yourself to achieve what it is you want out of your life. And if you can't trust yourself, people will not be able to trust you either. Without principles, the slightest distraction will deter you from your purpose. Any temptation will hinder you from becoming the man you want to be, and this will lead you to a miserable and regretful end. Having said that, integrity is personal. You should be deriving and evaluating the principles that shape you into the man you are becoming, and nobody should be telling you what they have to be. These personal principles could be considered great for some people and extremely bad for others, so it's only you who can decide what's best for you. Once you have your integrity set and standards figured out, you must stick to them as consistently as possible for them to be respected and taken seriously by others. Otherwise, your integrity is just a hobby, and people will treat it as such. Example: Donald Trump. You may disagree with Donald Trump's views and principles, and you may even call him delusional and arrogant, but we all can agree that he cares less about what others think when it comes to his principles. He's prepared to ignore or deal with the criticism of the entire world to go through with his plan. People have mocked him since he has become president for his controversial take on border control for foreigners and immigrants, but no matter the heat and criticism he gets, he still imposes his will and continues to take action according to his plan. Again, whether he's right or wrong is a different story, But the point is that your integrity doesn't really exist to others if it crumbles at the first signs of tension. Number 3. Leadership. Alpha men tend to make excellent leaders. Because when you're a capable alpha leader, you'll naturally be more comfortable with being in a strong position where people either look up to or fear you. You tend to exercise your leadership to influence people to take the actions you require them to take, whether these actions are in your best interest or theirs. Good leadership demands a degree of confidence, empathy, reliability, and strength. Other alpha male traits that can be found in the most prominent men in our history. Vladimir Putin, for example, is alpha AF. Pay attention to his command and presence. Look at his confidence and how he demands respect. Nevertheless, you don't have to be a leader to be alpha, but most competent leaders are alpha. And you don't have to be a good leader to be alpha. Evil leaders can also be alpha. The point is leadership plays a huge role in depicting your alpha status. Women admire, respect, and are therefore attracted to leaders because women know men who are capable of guiding her and her future family are resourceful, strong, and safe. This means you better start working on your leadership skills in order to become a higher value man. However, this doesn't mean you should aim to be anyone's boss, as not every boss is a good leader. In fact, most of these bosses are authoritative figures who exercise their boss status without actually being leaders, because leaders know how to help and inspire by setting good examples and being both proactive and reactive. Their will to guide and help often attracts more responsibilities and genuine respect from their families, peers, and bosses. This is exactly how successful alpha leaders are made. They earn their status by getting things done and serving others. Number 4. Selfishness. Selfishness is an essential alpha trait every successful, smart, and strong man will naturally possess. You have to be selfish to a certain degree if you want life to work out well for you. You must be selfish with your time, energy, and resources, especially if you have something to offer. The truth is, the moment you start making a name or income for yourself, someone will always want a piece of your success pie, one way or the other. Men will want you to help them get to your level, and women will want to distract you to enjoy your high-value attention. If you succumb to their wishes and start prioritizing serving others first, you'll get diminishing returns immediately. And when it's too late, you'll have no one else to blame for yourself. Prioritizing your needs and resources above others is selfish but necessary. That doesn't mean you must always be self-absorbed. You obviously should help others, loved ones especially, but never feel obligated to assist others around you on their journey just because others have told you so, at your own expense. Be comfortably and purposefully selfish. This is what every successful man has had to do to eliminate his competition and rise above others. Number 5. Authenticity. Authenticity is a common alpha male trait. Alpha men tend to be authentic because of the influence of other alpha traits mentioned here. When you're a confident, mentally tough, selfish, and risk-taking man, you'll naturally be less inclined to worry about what others think and more focused on what gives you more satisfaction. You'll be happy to speak and act upon what you desire or think is right, and this mindset will make you naturally authentic. Following only what you believe in is also acting in ways others can't, even if you're controversial, criticized, and stand out too much. It's not easy being the man who just doesn't follow society's programming. You'll be ridiculed and sometimes even shamed for doing so. But the moment you start standing out for what you truly believe in and acting accordingly, a more authentic version of you will emerge, and it's going to be polarizing. Some people will dislike you very much, others will really appreciate and like you. To the people who like you, you're going to be respected for being the man you want to be. And this is something you'll see in most alpha males. They tend to stand out by thinking and acting unconventionally and then get a lot of admiration for doing so, even if they are considered evil. After all, it's not by chance that unique alpha villains are admired and remembered. Authenticity also translates well in the dating marketplace because most men are the same. They say the same things and act in the same manner, and so they become very forgettable to women. But if you're a genuinely unique person who separates yourself from the pack without even trying, you will become intriguing to some women out there. And some is all you need for a successful dating life. Number 6. Courage. If you're willing to develop your alpha status, courage is definitely an alpha trait you must really focus on every day. In fact, Courage is the starting point of being an alpha, because you cannot really become a high-value alpha man unless you have a healthy degree of courage. Courage initiates confidence when there's no experience to be confident about. It gives you mental fortitude as after you've successfully conquered a struggle or outlasted the pain of your grind for the first time. Thanks to that courage, you'll be willing to experience difficulties again for future gains. Courage pushes you to stick with your vision and mission to its completion when you're not sure whether you'll make it or not. It's the one trait that makes the most powerful men seem insane and extraordinary. Contrary to common belief, however, successful alpha men aren't fearless. They do experience fear, anxiety, doubts, and stage fright just like others, but the difference is that they continue despite the fear. And this is what courage exactly is. The thing about courage for those who haven't experienced it enough is that it's extremely simple but extremely hard. It's simple because you already know the weaknesses that you need to fix but don't really want to. It's hard as these weaknesses are weaknesses for a number of reasons, and usually, they all boil down to judgment by others. Developing courage pushes you to become closer to the best version of yourself as a man. Having courage shapes you to become a capable leader for your family, friends, and businesses. It all starts with the intent of overcoming the unknown obstacle, with the knowledge you already have, regardless of the outcome, yet hoping for the best. And then try again when things don't go your way. When you repeat the process many times, you develop a stronger mindset and thicker skin. Two things that will make you incredibly strong compared to everyone else. Number 7. Strength. Strength is one of those alpha male traits that will always stand out. Again, when I asked you to describe or imagine what an alpha male would be like, you most likely described him as physically strong. There's no coincidence in that. Since our humble beginnings, physical strength meant power, security, and the ability to provide. Simply put, if you were the strongest man, you'd earn your right to be the leader of your tribe and all the women within your reach. Not much time has passed since that, compared to our history, of course. Society's rules may have changed and physical strength may not be relied upon as it once before, but it's no accident that men still prefer to be strong and that women still pursue fit men. Something to keep in mind, another reason to lift and get in shape. Having said that, not every alpha male has to be ripped and physically capable. Strong physicality is a tremendous attribute to have, but it's not what defines an alpha. The most capable political leaders and true influencers in our history weren't necessarily well-built. Instead, they have relied on their mental strength and character. They have displayed strengths one way or another to the point where they've managed to inspire other people to movements and drastic changes, regardless of whether those changes were beneficial or not. The point is, find a way to play to your strengths whatever they are and capitalize on them. Number 8. Ruthlessness. Most alphas of men have always been ruthless. You just need to take a look at our violent history to figure that out. Men who have conquered lands, raided villages, and pillaged homes have obviously done very nasty things over the years. The most ruthless men have gained the most resources, respect, and fear from those around them. The most ruthless alpha males have taken other men's women to own and procreate. That doesn't mean you should be running around clubbing men and taking their wives, obviously. But history shows that there's an element of ruthlessness. As a man, you must be comfortable in displaying to gain respect, and sometimes fear from others. Nice guys who are incapable of causing any damage will never be respected by their male peers or female potential options. Kind men who are capable of danger are the ones admired and followed by other men and get all the ladies. Cue bad boys. It's in your best interest to develop ruthlessness as an essential alpha male trait to become the alpha you've wanted to be. In the modern world, this should translate to you learning how to physically defend yourself or your loved ones when necessary via martial arts, and being perfectly fine with eliminating threats and competition in business for your own benefit. All within reason, of course. Example: Conor McGregor. Conor is an Irish MMA fighter who fights in the UFC. He's one of the most controversial and polarizing athletes of all time. In every lead-up to his fights, Conor makes sure he antagonizes his opponents and engages with them in psychological warfare. He always ensures he starts the actual fight with a mental advantage over his opponents. To a lot of people, this is disrespectful, cruel, and sometimes inhuman, but to him, this is all part of the actual fight. Business is business. It's never personal. It can be cruel, it can be ruthless, but it is never personal. Conor McGregor. Anything that gives him the upper hand is to be used no matter how cruel it is. Well, he's the first to become a two-weight champion in the UFC's history, so along with his fighting skills, his ruthless trash-talking has certainly played a huge role in his success. Number 9. Stoicism. The truly confident and rational alpha man is almost always in control of his emotions. He knows what he's capable of, so it's hard to push him out of his frame and into an unfamiliar emotional state. He isn't quick to argue in relationships because he knows that, worst-case scenario, he doesn't need to stay in a relationship that doesn't make him happy. He doesn't engage in heated confrontations with his colleagues or supervisors at work because he knows what he brings to the table, so there's never a need to be on the defensive. Another worst-case scenario. He can always work elsewhere if necessary. The exemplary alpha male isn't too concerned about matters he cannot control, and that's another reason why he's emotionally stable and content. Warriors have a hard time differentiating between the things that they can change and the things they cannot, so they're never satisfied with their current state, always anxiously anticipating the next problem they can't solve. And that's why emotional men who worry tend to lack the other alpha male traits listed. They don't operate in their own frame, always either reacting or overreacting. You can't be confident, reliable, assertive, authentic, and selfish if you're not willing to only focus on the things that matter regardless of what others say or do. Successful alpha males are usually stoic in that sense. They don't complain, they introspect. They don't talk, they show. They don't react, they act. They don't talk about emotions, they offer solutions. Number 10. Assertion. Maintaining frame. Being assertive and maintaining your frame are essential alpha male traits you must always keep in check if you want to develop your alpha status at work, with families, friends, and in relationships. How can you be an alpha and influence change at work if you can't calmly insist on not being taken advantage of? How are you going to be a woman's alpha if you can't say no? How are you going to set an example for your family if you can't be firm in your guidance when it's necessary? All it takes to figure out the importance of maintaining your frame is taking a good look at all the passive betas out there, in every possible dynamic. Betas are walked all over at work and never get appreciated for what they have to offer, even no matter how valuable their skills really are. They get paid less and worked more simply because of their lack of assertion and going after what they want and think they're worth. Betas are always ignored as potential partners for relationships. Women seek the highest value alpha men they can get. Since attention is the most vital currency women appreciate, they will keep all these beta orbiters around her for free compliments and validation. And the main reason why these men accept being in these beta lineups is that they're too afraid to be assertive and go after what it is they want, fearing rejection or loss. But we both know these men have already gotten rejected a long time ago. Looking at the world through your lens, or your mental point of origin, is the foundation of having frame and being an assertive alpha man. Ultimately, the difference between an alpha man with a strong frame and a passive beta guy is that the alpha wants to be the main character of his own life, and the beta is the NPC of his and others' lives. Knowing the difference makes the difference. How to become more alpha? Most men live and die hoping they were better and stronger versions of themselves without ever taking the necessary actions. Almost all men regret never trying to become who they have always imagined themselves to be because of others' judgment and criticism. The truth is, becoming more alpha is a lifelong process that needs serious courage and disregard for what others think. You're not going to become more authentic unless you value your authenticity more than what others think. You're not going to become a great leader without starting off as a bad leader yet continuing anyway. Your subordinates will have something to say to you, and you'll need a thick skin to withstand their condemnation. You're not going to become a more confident man unless you're more comfortable being in the uncomfortable, which always boils down to what someone else is thinking of you. Adopting these alpha male traits will require a lot of courage on your part to try, fail, and then try again until you realize what works with your personality.